Hey everybody, Bob Paff here. It is 5:45. As you know, we go on the air a little bit after 6. What are we going to talk about tonight? What do you think of my necklace? We're not going to talk about my necklace, although Elizabeth liked my necklace. We're talking about holiday stress. Nobody has any of that. You're going to be shocked at some of the statistics Elizabeth and Taylor are coming up with that we're going to talk about. You know, for some people, Christmas is a favorite holiday. And for others, maybe not so much. We're going to talk about that. So stay tuned. I'm going to keep reminding you time and time again, because a lot of people are telling me they can't get the show, or you know, our region is only so far reaching. If you're watching us outside of the Maryland, Delaware, some parts of Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, you really need to go to the app. And I tell you what, I've got the app too on my phone. I was in Florida over the Thanksgiving holiday, and it is so super easy to use the app. So go on to the App Store. Do it right now. Diane, if you're up there, you're up in Pennsylvania. Shern, I don't know where, wherever you guys are, go to the App Store right now and type in on your Android or your iPhone, the WCBM 680 AM app, and download that app. And wherever you are, if you're driving, if you're shopping, Kim DeGrosse, Rice DeGrosse is at a basketball game. Go team! You can download the app, and it's pretty easy, right? Super easy. I've got it on my phone, and you can check it out, because we want to hear from you. So we want to hear what your thoughts are. What are your thoughts around? Diane has the app. Yes. See, wasn't it easy, Diane? Wasn't it easy? We want to hear your thoughts around the holidays. I say the holidays, whatever you celebrate. If you celebrate Hanukkah, I had a conversation with somebody today at Hopkins who celebrates Hanukkah, and she was telling me that every kid got a gift from like 12 different people. It sounded really crazy. I mean, a lot of gifts. She said, gifts are everywhere. So I celebrate Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, if you celebrate Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate, is it stressful for you? And we want to talk about that. I really want to get, hey, Dawn, I really want to get your feedback. How do you feel? Let's be real. Let's be candid. How do you feel about the holidays? I love Thanksgiving. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. And there are things about Christmas that I certainly, the lights are pretty and all that. I tend to be a more spiritual guy, so I tend to get into maybe the more religious aspects of the holiday and the true meaning of Christmas and all of that. But we want to hear from you. It's about you. We're going to talk a little bit about last week's show. It was riveting. Touched me very, very personally. We're going to talk about that. We're going to do a follow-up show on the Keepers. I'm going to give you an update in a little bit. We're going to talk about some local and some world news. We're going to talk about some cool things going on at Pimlico Racetrack that they're talking about doing. So, and we also know what you want to hear. So give us a call, 410-922-6680. It's just myself and my two interns, Elizabeth and Taylor, that are with you in the studio tonight. So give us a call. But this is the holiday show. What do we have coming up? Next week we've got Rob Kowalski's going to come in and talk to us about why waiting works. Rob, I don't know if you're out there. Hopefully so, because he's going to be on the show next week. Why waiting works, and he's talking about abstinence. And Rob, I hope you're willing to come in and be transparent, because I think Rob was Lisa Holt. You know this. I think Rob was a wild and crazy guy, and now gone to the other side, and so he's going to talk to us about that and why he believes that abstinence works, and so therefore. But anyway, so we'll be with you in probably about 15 or 20 minutes. So stay tuned.
I pulled up some more stats from the Harvard neurological department, and then also Greenberg research.
Okay.
And it says about holiday stress. So Harvard's got some of the same stuff. It's 62% of people say stress levels are higher during the holidays, and then the one from Greenberg says that the people most affected by holiday stress tend to be women.
Women.
Because just of the preparing meals, decorating the home, all of that sort of stuff.
Ladies, you're not going to be surprised hearing that statistic. Women are more stressed out about the holidays than men. Guys, hear that? All right.
And then also lower and middle income individuals.
Okay.
And which,
Oh, with the stress, right? They can't afford it.
Yes.
They can't
Having
afford
to
it.
afford Christmas.
Okay, this is good stuff. Terrific. Lower and middle income people. Okay. Diane, thank you. Nick Stone, hey. Diane, do you have it on the app? Can you download it on the app, or are you someplace where you can't? You know, my friends John Bykowski. John, I don't know if you and Jade are tuning in, but they had this was kind of cool. Last week they had a listening party. They had a bunch of people over their house, and they had wine, and they listened to the show. So that's a pretty cool idea. So anyway, John and Jade, if you guys are out there, I can't expect you to have a wine party every Friday, but and one of these Fridays maybe I'll stop by. Lower middle income people. What do you guys think of the necklace too? You know, it's got 3 modes. Let me see. Let's see. I wish it had just stayed on. So that's off. It's kind of obnoxious.
That's giving me a C.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's that sort of rolls through. Oh, wait, is that it? Oh, so the crazy. And that. I think that's the best one. Okay. All right.
Kelly, did you see the accident from Gilman today?
Accident in front of Gilman? Was there one?
Yeah, it was a big one.
Really?
On Roland or Northern Parkway?
Roland Park, yeah.
So Logan officially got accepted into Brown. He got his letter yesterday.
Awesome.
I forgot the
Yeah, the Ivy Leagues admitted yesterday. I know.
So I'm sure Xander got his, and
Yeah. a
Kid
bunch
named
of kids
Noah
did.
Jones going to Harvard.
who was?
Noah John.
Really?
He went to Calvert with me.
Very cool. Very cool. Anthony, how are you? Thank you for tuning in. Guys, make sure you get the app. Download the app. It is super easy. We live stream. You can check out the podcast. You can go to the website. And all the shows are what's the word I'm looking for? Not cataloged, but, you know, they're saved there, whatever. Janine Jankowski, love you. We got a lot of things to talk about. So this is our, I guess we got one more show before Christmas, right, guys? The 21st. You gotta love Howie Sharp. He says, Bob, break a leg, have a good show. Look at that. Isn't that nice? He leaves me this message, Bob. Break a leg, have a good show. Terrific. You guys should be, we don't have any other guests in the studio. I am going to make the mics live, so we've got our, guys, I want to get your perspective on Christmas, too, from your age group. What do you look forward to? What are the goods and all that kind of stuff about the holiday? What do the holidays mean? And, you know, for some of you who are out there, Janine, some of you who are out there and you're listening to this, you know, as our lives change, holidays and things, take on different meanings for us. And so I would love to hear, for those of you who are out there, how have the holidays changed? Have they evolved? Or if you don't like them as much as you used to, you know, why? And so I'd love to ask you, Lee McGinnis, I don't know if you're out there, but Lee's coming on the show on the 28th, and we're gonna talk. Lee's been on the show before. But we're going to talk about transparency. We're going to talk about losing everything and coming back from that adversity and the lessons that are learned from that adversity. So we've all lost something. You know, maybe. What do you think of this, Janine? What do you think? Earrings to match? What do you guys think? And Brosco, we got to get you to call in. Look at that. What do you think, guys? I need some earrings. And how's the weather down there in my outside of New York, Charleston, South Carolina? My daughter swears she's moving there. I could really divide my time, Ann Brosco. Be careful what we wish for here, between Charleston, any parts of Charleston, Sullivan's Island, Daniel Island, Chip O'Neill, go Lakers. Loving that it's raining. Oh, Ann, loving that we're going to get some rain up here. That the listenership is really growing every week by leaps and bounds. We've got my friend Ann, who just tuned in from the Charleston, South Carolina area. Michael Filippelli. Michael, aren't you supposed to be here doing the news? All right. So anyway, I do like. So if I get both blue do earrings that way. It's kind of cool. All right. Any earth-shattering stuff going on in politics this week? Michael Cohen, we know, is going away. I mean, Cohen's going away for 3 years.
All that's dominated the media.
Right? That's
anything else.
Guys, I don't think we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. I mean, aren't you tired of hearing about Michael Cohen's going to jail for 3 years? Some people probably think he should have gone for longer. Some people thought he shouldn't have gone at all. You know, he took one for the team. But this show, listen, I can probably hold a political conversation with the best of them. Maybe not as good as Michael Filippelli, but we're not about the politics. The Terps have a new coach. Most people seem to be in favor of the Terrapins' new coach. I understand he's a great recruiter. He's a local guy. He's had a tough few years. I know his son, I think, was murdered here in the Baltimore area, this new coach.
And DJ
right?
Durkin just got hired at Alabama.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Wow. So there's some news for us.
But, yeah, Mike, I kind of wish they hired their interim head coach, Matt Campbell.
Yeah, don't you think he deserved a shot?
Yeah, the thing with Moxley is that he had one chance at, New Mexico State, and he did terribly. And
Right.
Then he got hired.
He's like 3-33 or something like that, his overall record. You know what? They're giving him credit for working with Saban.
Yeah.
They're hanging their hat on that.
I don't know.
Hey, Kim, thank you so much for tuning in.
I don't know what the idea was behind that, but
It's crazy. Kim, I think you're in California. Am I right? Brandon, we got to get together. Love you, guy. Kim, are you? I think you're in California. Newport Beach, maybe? Kim Simons. Wonderful to tune in. Maybe get you to call in. Maybe chat about your book. You know, it's funny because people who write books, my book is a transparent look at my life. But Kim, you guys are the real writers, the one who write the novels, create characters, and then do all this stuff around the characters. Hey, can one of you guys do me a favor and give this? Anita just walked in.
yeah, I got it.
Give her that. So I'd like to hear what all of you, want to talk about. Brandon, I understand the real estate market. We tried to get I tried to get one of the top people at Long and Foster to come in who was busy, had plans. And, it's a lot of work putting these shows together. I want you guys to know that because a lot of people either aren't comfortable, they get a little bit nervous and coming in.
Is that a new computer we have in the studio?
I didn't think it was, but you think it was.
Could be a new screen.
New screen.
New screen.
Maybe a new screen. So, it's not always easy to get, and folks say they want to do it, and then something comes up or whatever. So I understand that. But anyway, we try to get somebody in here to talk about what's going on in the real estate community because I understand there's really, and thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Somebody reached out. We just got a message from my friend in Charleston, Ambrosco, said we really appreciate your hard work. Don Lawrence, if you're out there, I should have brought that card. I posted something on Facebook. I got the most beautiful card from a friend of mine, Don Lawrence, who happened to be at Mass and read a verse or something moved him. And he sent me a card. It was the most beautiful thing. And I really appreciate that. So Don acknowledged it. And I really appreciate you doing that. I make an investment in this show. I do not work for WCBM. You see all that behind me. I'm not an employee of WCBM. So we make the investment in this. I pay for this airtime. And so I need sponsorship. We need people to help us out because we're doing this out of our own pockets. And we're doing it to try to make a difference in the world and trying to make a change. And really, I thought rather than run for political office, I'm better suited here and helping people and listening to you and bringing you quality content is really what I'm all about. Talking about what do we say a city needs to be? Safe and clean, right? And talking about those kind of things. Talking about suicide prevention. I read something earlier. I think it was a news anchor. You guys might be able to find that. I think she was in Detroit who killed herself this week. Maybe a 35-year-old television news anchor. And you see folks like that, guys, and you think, they're talented and beautiful, and isn't life perfect and all that.
Meteorologist.
She was a meteorologist? How old was she, Elizabeth? Like 35?
I'm trying to find it.
All right. Oh, Dawn. Dawn, do you want me to be the next mayor? You know what? The interesting thing about that is I've got a plan. I had a conversation today with an Episcopal priest who has converted over. This is a great story. I had a conversation with an Episcopal priest down in the, it's not Bolton Hill, Seton Hill area. He's got 9 kids. And he's converted to being a Catholic priest now. Well, he had to do that before he became, because you can't do that in the Catholic Church, whatever. But, so Don, thank you so much for that. I've got a plan. I've got a plan to, Tim Hodge, you and I talked about it. I know what we need to do to fix this city. And I'm happy to help really in any way that I can, because I'm always going to have a presence in Baltimore City. So, I'll have a presence in Brosco down there, and Charleston would be great. New York City, Baltimore City, but you know, my kids are all here. Everybody's here. My life is here, and so I love this city. And Don, we have not had a great mayor in this city, in my opinion, since William Donald Schaefer. Because, you know, he would get on the back of the trash trucks. Baltimore's small enough that you can get out there on the streets. I'm appalled at I don't know what you guys see, but the trash that I see everywhere. Look at the ramps when you get off at the Falls Road ramp.
Disgusting.
It's disgusting.
And it's like there's never been any real it's so broken.
Right.
Anyway.
It is.
Falls Road ramp
It is. Guys, look at the on ramps and the off ramps, and it's disgusting. And I don't see Kimberly Cronin, I love you guys. Merry Christmas. Janine, you think I should run for mayor too? And Dawn's saying that. But, you know, Renee, I do, and I'm missing you. Renee, love to chase, and you and I need to catch up, and I need to get you back in the studio with me. So look at that calendar. I do have a plan. And talking to this Episcopal priest, and we need to unite the African American community and the white community and the Hispanic. We've got a large Hispanic population. You get down there in Broadway and Upper Broadway and that whole area, it's Hispanic, and you got folks from El Salvador, and we need to bring everybody together. That's what we need to do to turn this around. It needs to be a collective effort. Sorry, guys, I'm adjusting my necklace here, but I do think the earrings, maybe the green. What do you think, guys? With my hair? We got to keep it light. All right, Renee. Guys, share this too, or you're all downloading the app, right? Hey, Renee, you and I, we could do this. You could, so we could, we've said that before, a lot of things that you and I can do. Are we getting ready to go on? My golly, we are. Let me make sure I'm turning volumes down here. That's the ringer, but no, the volume's up, but the ringer's silent, so we should be good. I don't think I'll gotta get bumped off. I was adjusting everything, guys. Let's see here. You guys, I'm gonna have your. Did you tell Anita to make your mics live? Is she? Bill Ross. Taylor, I'm taking you home, right? And then I'm headed down to Maple Lawn.
What?
Down Montgomery County. But I'm going to drop you off tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nita, you want some water? Bottle of water?
Huh?
You want a bottle of water?
No, thank you. I have a big thing of water.
Okay.
Thank you.
Still have that accident northbound on 95. It's just before the Baltimore Beltway. It's moving slow back to Route 100. Then you'll see more slowing into
Guys, we're getting ready, right? We've got a super duper show for you tonight, as always. Thank you, Renee. Thank you for sharing this. Guys, we're coming to you. Get ready. Get ready. Gene, I would. There's no question about that. It just breaks my heart what's going on in this city. Guys, we're getting ready. Here we go, guys.
Talk Radio 680 WCBM at WCBM.com are not necessarily those of the owners, management, employers, and advertisers of WCBM. But they should be. The Bob Paff Show is brought to you by Bob Paff.
All right, here we go. Here we go, guys. Thanks, Don. Hey everybody, it's Bob Paff here. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in and joining us for, it's not quite an hour. I mean, this thing really flies by. Let me give you the call-in numbers. If you want to call, oh, sorry about that. Hope it picked up a little bit. See that? I got so excited. I didn't have my microphone in front of me. You want to give us a call at 410-922-6680, the Bob Paff Show. If you're out of the area, there's an 800 number. Just stick an 800 in front of that, 922-6680, and give us a call. This show, we're going to talk about holiday stress. You're going to be surprised some of the things that you hear. So joining me tonight are my two interns. We've got Taylor West and we've got Elizabeth Cucuzella, who are joining me. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Ready to have fun tonight? We're going to talk about holiday stress from my perspective, an adult perspective, and I want you guys to share as well. And they've done some research, and some of the things I'm going to tell you have really shocked me, Elizabeth, some of the things that you came up with. But here's what we want to do on the show. I want to go through, I always, listen, let me tell you folks something. Janine Jankowski's out there listening, and Don Lawrence is out there listening, and Carol Dye. And those who know me know that I have a humble and grateful heart. And I am so grateful. Don, you and I texted earlier in that beautiful Christmas card. Things like that, gestures like that mean so much to me. And I am so grateful. When I brought on the sponsors, and particularly Tony, I don't know if you're listening at THB, I hadn't even met Tony, and I reached out and said, I'm putting on this show, and we're going to change Baltimore, and I need you. I need you to sponsor. And he said, I'm in. We're in. Maria Kosmakis and Vaso, same thing. Reached out to my friends at Cipriana. So we've got THB, we've got Cipriana, and Maria's like, I'm in. You know, I've known Maria and Vaso for about 30 years, and that's a terrific story. We've had the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So I'm sorry if you get tired of hearing it, but we're looking for positive. We're looking for people that are coming together and doing great things in this city, who are invested in this city, who want to turn this city around. I had a great conversation with an ex-Episcopal priest. My friend Luke Driscoll connected me with Father Al. He's now a Catholic priest, and listen to this. He's got 9 kids. He's got 9 kids, right? I thought the only people that had more kids than me, and I've got 6, were the Stanwicks, and they have 8. Good Catholic family, a cathedral family. But this guy's got 9 kids, and so he and I talked about some things that we need to do to make some changes and bring folks together. What are the 2 things that I say? A lot of you are out there saying Bob Paff for mayor, and I appreciate it, and I want to be involved. I want to be involved in the change. What are the 2 things that a city needs to be? Don Lawrence, I know you're watching. A city needs to be safe and clean. I was just talking to Elizabeth. This city's dirty. Guys, would you say?
Oh, yeah.
What do you see?
Oh, yeah. There's just trash everywhere.
Everywhere, right? The on-ramps, the off-ramps, the parks, the gutters, the curbs in front of people's houses. What's going on? It's crazy. Do you guys ever see, I've driven down the road and I've talked to some of my friends. People throw their trash out the windows now.
Oh, yeah. And it'll be like a McDonald's bag.
Right, a McDonald's
Goes out
bag. The whole thing, it just goes out the window. And you know what? I want to beat the horn, or I want to pull up next to them, but they'll shoot me. And I grew up in the inner city, but I'm afraid. Taylor's smiling. But you really, these days, come on, guys, you've got to, folks, this is not right. You know, we should, I say safe and clean, and you see my little, here's my little sign here. Safe and clean, Leonard Russell. You know, that's how sophisticated I am. You know, everything is grassroots and organic, and we cobble things together here on the Bob Paff Show. But, you know, if you said to somebody, and you could say it nicely, you could say, hey, sir, geez, would you mind picking that up? A lot of times, too, I was walking down Roland Avenue the other day, and there was trash all over, and I took pictures of it, and I posted it. It was a trash can about, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet away, so it's absolutely incredible. So it really bothers me. It's my pet peeve. You guys know that. So we're going to get into the holiday stress thing when we come back on the other side of the break. We're here with you for a little bit. I want to talk about last week's show. And you guys were in the studio with me. We had the keepers. We had Teresa Lancaster. Gloria Larkin. We've got 2 minutes. We're going to talk about this. It's perfect. And we had the ladies from the Keepers here. And I shared with you, if you weren't listening, oh, Dawn, absolutely unsafe. If you weren't listening last week, I was molested by a Franciscan friar when I was 16 years old in New York. And so some of you might have just dropped your coffee or you know, whatever. You might be shocked by that. Listen, I'm all about being candid and being transparent. So when I have these folks on my show, we've got a caller, I connect to a lot of these stories on a very personal level. I was molested by a priest, not in the horrific sense that these ladies, I'm just, if you've not seen The Keepers, please watch The Keepers and give me some feedback. It was horrible. But I have a personal connection to the story. We're going to do it again. We're going to have some of the ladies, Linda Taberzi, we're going to have folks back in here. We're going to talk about that. I want to let you know, in the interest of total transparency, that I have reached out to the Archdiocese multiple times. I have invited, you guys know this, the Archbishop of Baltimore, Archbishop Laurie, on the show. Now, I did hear from his spokesperson. I will not share the name, but I will tell you it wasn't a very pleasant conversation. Unfortunately, there's no reason to be angry and to you know, just be sort of hostile toward me because I want to allow the Archbishop to come on here. He says he wants to be transparent. And we need transparency, and I want to give him the opportunity to be transparent. Guys, maybe we'll reach out to the Archbishop again this week. We're trying, folks. We're trying to bring you, hey, Celeste, we're trying to bring you quality, meaningful, educational, inspirational content. And I want people on this show. We had Mike Gill. We had Bob Corrett, the Chancellor of the University of Maryland. We had Kevin Davis on the show. I want to get the Archbishop of Baltimore in my studio, and I want to ask him what his plan is for this transparency. We need to turn. The church is about the people. We, the people, are the church. Taylor was asking me, Mr. Paff, with all this abuse going on, why are you still Catholic, or why do you still go to the church? And it's a valid question. We've got about a minute to go. We've got some great shows coming up. We've got Rob Kowalski who's going to be joining me in the studio. Rob, if you're out there, Rob's going to be joining me and talking about why waiting works, I think is what it is. And it's abstinence. He's talking about sexual abstinence and why waiting works. And I want to get into it and talk about Rob's story and why he thinks it works, or why not waiting doesn't work, or whatever. We're going to talk about that. Lee McGinnis is going to come back into the studio on 1228. We're going to talk about losing everything. And Lee's had a tough road, and she's going to talk. And I asked her, I said, "You willing to be transparent, talk about this?" And then we're going to have Dr. Dan in here in January, and we're going to talk about goal setting as we look into 2019. So you're listening to the Bob Paff Show. Let me give you those numbers again: 410-922-6680. Paul and West and Whitemarsh will take your call when we come back. Right now, we're going to take a break. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show on WCBM. We'll be right back. What do you think of the necklace? I'm going to go to this caller. I'm going to go. Why does it say trash? But we'll go to the caller.
He wants to talk about the trash and the
Oh, he does?
Yeah, most likely.
Good. We'll go to him, and then we're going to get into the holidays, guys.
Maybe we'll just start talking about politics, though.
Well, that's all right. Well,
Go off the rails.
what I like to do, we're going to take a call, and we're going to get into the whole thing about Baltimore's trash. Celeste, what do you think? Go with the blue, right? Matches my eyes. All right. Here, look at this. Anita? I'm going to go wait for the caller.
What?
What exams do you have?
Math and chemistry. What do you have?
Bio, comp sci, and calculus.
Kim, I love the necklace too.
Moderately dying.
Kim, what do you think if I do some earrings? The red or... We're coming back. Folks, we're back live with you. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show, and I'm in the studio, and delighted to be so, with my two high school interns, Taylor West and Elizabeth Cucasella. Hope your parents are listening. Do your parents listen?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are doing a fantastic job, and if I haven't said this publicly, I'm all about that. You're doing a terrific job, and it's my goal that you learn something, because I was an intern once. My background is more television than radio, but I was an intern. I know what it's like, and I wanted this to be substantive. We're going to take a call. Anita, we're going to take Paul from Whitemarsh, and he wants to talk about trash. Paul? You're on the Bob Paff Show. How are you, sir? Oh, right. Right. You know, that's a good question, and I wonder if something like that, Paul, thank you for that. I wonder if that's something that's public knowledge. Hey, guys, a great question. Like, how many fines has Baltimore given? But Paul, are you still there? Is he gone? He's gone. Okay. Paul, you're listening then, I hope. I'm in my 50s. I'm not going to tell you which end of my 50s I'm in. I'm in my 50s. I've never seen the city dirtier. And I've got two teenagers who are in the studio with me, and they're saying the same thing. What's going on? Again, a city, hey, Laura Gaffney, a city needs to be safe and clean. And here are my thoughts around trash. Here are my thoughts around trash. If you see trash, it sends a message to people. You guys share it. It sends a message that people don't care. And so if you see a little bit of trash, then people are more inclined to throw their trash out. Because the whole idea is people don't care. And I think, and it's going to sound crazy, I'm going to go out on a limb, that kind of produces a sense of lawlessness. And one of the things that I say about a city, you see, once people lose hope, despair is close behind. You know, because they start thinking, nobody gives a damn, right? So it's folks, what are we going to, one of the things I started about, maybe we do that at your schools, is let's get a video camera. Mary Ellen Otter, you out there listening to us? Maybe let's get a video camera. Let's expose this stuff. That's a lot of what this show's about, folks. We want to catch people doing things right. If you're out there and you're doing something right, and when I had a conversation today with Father Al, I'm going to be at church. I'm going down to Seton Hill. And I'm going to go to church on Sunday at 10 o'clock because I don't want to say I'm church shopping, but I am shopping. I'm looking for a little bit more spirituality than I'm getting. And so I'm going to go down and had a nice conversation with Father Al, and my friend Luke Driscoll connected us. Let's talk a little bit about some positive things. It looks like there's some discussion, you guys, we were talking about this, to knock Pimlico Racecourse down, right? Yeah. To knock it down, but rebuild it. Build a brand new Pimlico Racecourse. Is that what the article is telling us, Taylor?
Yeah, I think it is. I think the projected cost is $424 million. And
they don't know who's going to pay for it.
From the Maryland State Import. Yeah, I don't know who's going to pay for that.
Who's going to pay for that? Like the city of Baltimore is like, oh my God, every time this mayor wants to sue the White House for whatever immigration and stuff like that. Hey, Mayor, we've got so many things to deal with already that I don't think we need to be doing. Suing the federal government. It's a waste of time, guys. Because first of all, the federal government's big and they're powerful and they've got lots of lawyers and they could drag this thing out forever. They could certainly drag it out through her administration. So it's ridiculous. It's a waste of time. We've got bigger problems. We still don't have a police commissioner yet. Right?
No, we don't have a solid police commissioner.
We don't have a police commissioner. We're up to number 5. We don't have a police commissioner yet. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I did not dig into this, but they're talking about raising, knocking down Pimlico Racecourse. And Taylor and I were chatting about some beautiful racetracks. Of course, the Churchill Downs, we were talking about. The tracks in California, if my California friends are out there listening, are absolutely gorgeous. I visited some of those. The other thing, positive thing, let's find some positive things. The other positive thing that I saw, we've got some more people, trash. We're really touching on some trash things, Anita. The other thing I saw was Giant, the grocery store. If any Giant fans out there, I'm a Giant shopper, and I go to Eddie's and I go to Growl's, and I support small business. If you're out there and you're listening to me, and you know it, because when I post on Facebook, I'm going to THB, I'm going to, Cipriana, I'm going to the dry cleaner on Cold Spring Lane. Folks, small business is the backbone of the economy, and it's the backbone of this country. Support your small business people. I'm not saying if you're an Applebee's guy or you like to go to the chains, do that. But please support your small business owners out there. It's absolutely critical that you do that. All right, we've got a minute. We're going to come back. We're going to dive into holiday stress. So the theme of today's show, and Taylor, I'm going to start. Listen to this. We're going to tease you with this. And Elizabeth came up with this statistics. Folks, are you ready for this? 45% of Americans say that they would rather skip. Was it Christmas? Folks, let me repeat that. 45% of Americans say that they would rather skip Christmas. When we come back from this break, You're listening to the Bob Paff Show. Give us a call. We got 2 callers, and we're going to take them. The trash thing is really touching people. We're going to talk about why 45% of Americans would rather skip Christmas. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy myself, but we're going to dive into this. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show on WCBM, 410-922-6680. We'll be right back. Good job, guys. I need to have you two just in the studio with me every week. We don't need anybody, you know? Right? Look at this. I got 2 calls about somebody in Mount Vernon wants to talk about trash.
Oh my goodness.
Were you on this?
Yeah.
Who's on your team and how to communicate when in life, love, and business. Order Bob's best-selling book on Amazon.com or go to bobpath.com.
If you're looking for a wonderful dining experience, look no further than Cipriano Restaurant. Chef Maria produces the city's most authentic Greek and Cypriot food, while her husband Vaso makes sure that you have an outstanding dining experience. Born in Cyprus,
Somebody wants to tell us how clean Mount Vernon is when he was down there.
local food lovers for over
Okay.
37 years. The menu
Look at that. Who would have thought?
such as the chef's creamy hummus.
It is disgusting, though.
It's-
You even
it's-
go, like, even in the Roland Park area, which is definitely a more well-off
That's right.
area. You
That's
run
right.
around there, and there's just trash.
You know, the
everywhere.
thing that amazes me, too, is you can tell how aged the trash is.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell that it's been sitting there and it's been run over by cars and plastic bottles that have been flattened and leaves are over top of them and everything else. Folks, we're talking about the trash. I apologize. I don't mean to be rude because we're Facebooking Live. I got 2 callers on the line that want to talk about the trash in Baltimore City. But and then we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the holiday stress and we're going to talk about setting expectations. So we're going to be back with you just a little bit.
Dr. Marco Mansky is a double board-certified plastic surgeon who specializes in natural-looking results.
What are some other churches you're looking at for church shopping?
This one is, so the guy, he hasn't sent me the text yet. Father Al, I think he is, I don't know the name of it. He was supposed to send it to me. He hasn't sent it to me yet. I'm open. Maybe I'll tell people, if you got a church out there that you really love, we'd love to hear about it.
I know St.
know, go-
Pius was always a
St. Pius is good?
They had a really good reputation for a long time. I'm not in the Catholic community.
Hey, Nick. Lots of people. We've touched a nerve. Those of you who are listening, apparently we've touched a nerve on this trash thing. And most of it, I've got a caller who's waiting to come online who, Rick, we can certainly talk about the homeless. It's an epidemic, and that's an entire show as well. But we've got a caller on the line who wants to talk about how clean Mount Vernon was. I think maybe he was down there for the tree lighting. So we're gonna talk about that as well. And please give us a call and tell us your feelings about, people are calling it about trash, which is great. But the show, we want to talk about holiday stress. We're going to dedicate the second block, the second half of the show, we're going to talk about trash. Trash. I got trash on my head. We're going to talk about holiday stress and when we come back.
Did Pajamagram sponsor you?
Who?
Pajamagram?
Is that a pajama? Some of them they take it from the network. Some of these feeds, I got a meeting with these guys. Pajama. Yeah.
I haven't heard THB or Cipriano yet.
I heard Cipriano.
No,
You could,
Cipriano's
yeah, because it's that music.
I always remember THB because the guys are always saying, like, in Towson?
Right, that's right.
I forgot the other ad.
That's Tony. Ann Loudon, how are you? Ann, I've got to get up to New York to see you. I want to come up to see the tree. I was thinking maybe the weekend. I don't know if you're around, but we want to get up there. I want to get up there, and so we promise we're not going to talk about politics, right? Everybody knows that Michael Cohen's going to jail for 3 years, and I think he's free until March. So, you know, to get his act together, whatever. But when we come back, we're gonna callers. We're gonna jump in. Here we go, guys. Here we go, folks. Hey, Shane, California's way down. Here we go. Coming back. Okay, folks, you're back with the Bob Paff Show. We've touched a nerve. We're going to go to Bruce. Bruce is going to talk to us about trash in Baltimore. Bruce, you are on the Bob Paff Show, sir. Thank you. What's your question or comment, Bruce? Yeah. Illegal dumping? Oh, yeah, okay. Ah, hey, where do you live, Bruce? Okay. Yeah. You know what, Bruce? Not to interrupt you. I was down in Curtis Bay a couple of weeks ago, and I thought and I've never been to Baghdad, but I could only imagine that that's what Baghdad looks like. It was disgusting. And where you are, this area where you're talking about, is really not far from Curtis Bay. Is that correct? All right, what's a few miles? But so in your area, so Zeke Cohen, if you're out there listening, Larry, I hear you. Pick up after yourself. That's the problem. People don't pick up after themselves. That's the whole point. They throw their trash out. They don't pick up after themselves. And I don't see the Department of Public Works around. So that's the issue, that Larry. So I appreciate you weighing in on Facebook Live. But go over. Yep, got to cut you off and take another caller. Go ahead. Yeah. It was there for you, really. Dawn, you can't hear him because unless you've gone in the app and you're tuned into the show, I've got somebody on Facebook Live telling me they can't hear your questions. Unless you're on the app, folks, you can't hear the questions. I'm Facebook Living and you're seeing me, but you got to be tuned into the show to hear Bruce's question. Bruce, thank you so much. I hope Zeke Cohen's listen. I want to take Anita. Let's take Rob's call because we've got a guy who's got something positive to say. I think Rob. Hey, Rob, you're on the Bob Paff Show. Thank you for calling, sir. What's your question or comment? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Rob, I don't want to cut you off. You got about 45 seconds. So if you want to get to that question, because we're going to have to go to a break. Okay. Okay. You know, Rob, I love, listen, thank you for calling in. Thank you. And let me talk to you about that a little bit. Mount Vernon is one of the most gorgeous areas in downtown Baltimore. And for those of you who are not familiar with Baltimore history, that's where the truly wealthy, like Henry Walters and all those people lived, you know, and to go out to the suburbs, to Ruxton and all those areas, that was a bedroom community. People went out to the county to escape the heat. Mount Vernon is absolutely gorgeous. It's historic. You've got Peabody there. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm glad to hear that you're saying it was clean and that you were guilted into not throwing, I think you said your dirty habit or your dirty cigarettes, that you found a receptacle to put that. And kind of what Larry Fagan was saying, you know, we need to get people, I don't know what it is. I mean, I think the breakdowns in the home. I think a lot of people are being raised by grandparents and aunts and uncles and neighbors, and it does take a village. But I think the breakdown of the home and the breakdown of social responsibility, the breakdown of respect, just plain old respect. I've told you guys about my first job setting up bowling pins. But listen, we've got to go. We're going to be right back. We're going to dive into holiday stress. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show on WCBM, 680 AM. Give us a call.
Mount Vernon is beautiful. I don't know what area he was talking about, but now I know. I should know.
All right, guys, we're coming your way. We're going to talk about holiday stress. So let's do 5% of Americans said they'd rather skip it. I'm going to go to you. We're going to talk about why. Give us some of the reasons. What are people saying? We can chat about that. All right. Taylor, I'll come to you, and we'll talk about what are some of the top. What I want you to be prepared to do is some of these top reasons, and then I can go into and kind of not wrap it up, but we'll talk about setting reasonable expectations and so forth. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that.
We could also, Taylor and I, probably talk about as just students. I know a lot of us are in the middle now of midterm season.
Right.
And so grappling with having exams and then also the holiday festivities and the kind of stress that puts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you don't have time to do holiday stuff because you're trying to study for exams. Then you don't have time for exams, holiday stuff. And
Okay.
like the benefits.
What I really want to touch on was your whole thing about who is the most women. I think that's huge because a lot of my listeners are women.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about middle to lower income. I want to
Yeah.
talk about the economic reasons, okay? So when I go to you, we'll talk about those kind of things. And I'll touch on some of those. Larry, thank you. Dawn, yeah, if you're not on the app, you're not going to hear the callers. You're not going to, because you can't do that with Facebook Live because I'm not connected, to that. So that's the reason for that. You're really going to be shocked when you, oh my God, Larry, I love that. Your first job, we've got a Facebook Live viewer here who says his first job was working on the back of a garbage truck in Pittsburgh. So, and I think of William Donald Schaefer driving around on his trash truck in Baltimore. Shane, was it you that said, loves my necklace? I mean, it's like, all right. All right, so it's perfect. So I'll review that statistic again. We'll talk about the 45% of people said they'd rather skip it. I'll make some comments about that. Elizabeth, I'll go to you and say why. Taylor, you can chime in or I'll pull you in. You guys know how I operate this by now. Okay. And then we'll talk about, the other reasons. Make sure, Elizabeth, I want to hit on, I'll say, well, what I'm going to do is I'll underline it and say, who is it most stressful for? Who is it most, so out of that 45%? There it is, THB. Tony! Hey, Tony, your commercial's on now. So you're watching on Facebook Live, but I don't know. Tony, do you have the app? Download that app. And because you're commercial. What a great commercial. And I love, what does he say? And here it is. Kenton, Tomodio. Tony, I love that. Love, dignity, and respect. Absolutely. Got to run, man. Thank you, Larry. Right. Cindy Wick Van Camp. Love that, you guys, and please share it. Again, please, please, please go to the app. Download the app into your app store, and then you'll hear the people that are calling in. If you're not doing that and you're just joining us on Facebook Live and you're distracted by my necklace here, my fancy necklace, we're talking about holiday stress. So it was stressful which one of the blinks I should do, right? I got all these choices, and it's kind of like, what should I do here? How many of you who are here joining me on Facebook Live, how many of you who are on Facebook Live here tuned in to the Keeper show last week? I mean, again, that was a really incredible show. We've got a podcast here as well, so you can go to the WCBM website, you can download the podcast, and you can listen to that show. We're going to do another show. I don't know if I just want to call it, about the Keeper. We're going to talk about the sexual abuse in the church and what needs to be done. And I told all of you that I've reached out to the Archdiocese of Baltimore to try to get the Archbishop on here, but so far, no success. Let's see. That's probably why I had the monitor down. That's probably why I'm hearing them. I had the monitor down. Because when I get in here at like 5:30, Hannity is like this. We're in the cloud generation now, so your firewalls have to be engineered to right in. Reclaim your cloud network. Try a Barracuda Cloud Generation Network or application firewall free at barracuda.com/firewalls.
Some radio stations put their talk shows in a talk block. Not here. You can talk around the clock.
Coming back.
Stay connected and informed on Talk Radio
Ready?
680,
Here we go.
WCBM, and WCBM.com.
We got music here, and so if you're watching me on Facebook Live, I'm dancing because they
And
don't.
now more of
They'll
the
just think I'm
Bob
crazy.
Paff Show on Talk Radio 680 WCBM and worldwide at WCBM.com.
Hey, folks, you are back with Bob Paff on the Bob Paff Show here. Let me give you the call-in number again, 410-922-6680. We would love to hear from you. The theme, the whole purpose of the show, and we're going to devote the second half of the show to holiday stress. The holidays. You know what's interesting, guys? I've got my two interns in here with me, Taylor and Elizabeth, and they're going to be chiming in. So if you've just joined us, but I can't imagine you just joined us. One of the things that shocked me, because I do a lot of work, you guys know, around the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, is that the holidays are not such a big time for suicide, and part of the reason is that most people, I know there are a lot of people that are alone, and I want to talk about it, are around somebody. If I recall, I don't know if Kat Olbrecht and Melanie Verity are out there listening to me from the AFSP, springtime is actually the highest for suicide. But anyway, we're talking about holiday stress. And Elizabeth, I'm going to remind our listeners of this. Folks, if you listen to this, 45% of Americans say that they would rather skip Christmas. And for my non-Christian friends out there, I get it. That was a statistic that we came up with. I'd love to hear from you. If you're of the Jewish faith or the Muslim faith, if you celebrate something else and you've got that statistic, share it with us. So by no means are we slighting anyone, but 45% of Americans say that they would rather skip Christmas. I love Thanksgiving. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. I find Christmas stressful. I'm a divorced dad. And so for a lot of us, a lot of people are alone on the holidays. If you're out there and you're weighing in, I'd love to know if you're alone. But Elizabeth, tell us, because you've done some of the research here, who are the folks that are the most stressed out by the holidays? And let's talk about why.
Generally, women tend to be the most stressed around the holidays just because of the stress of the
They're doing all the work.
Yeah, they're doing all the work. And even,
Moms, are you
with,
listening out there?
Yeah,
Right.
even with like family connections, having in-laws coming
Right.
and other family.
Well, they're sending out the Christmas cards, they're shopping, they're preparing food, they're cleaning the house, right?
Exactly.
They're buying outfits, they're going to the Christmas pageant. It really, and guys, you know, my buddy Rob Woodward, today's his birthday. There's some guys out there, and I'm one of those guys. I'm all about my kids. And I used to jokingly say I can do a mean ponytail, but generally speaking, in fairness to you ladies out there, most of this responsibility for the holidays falls to mom, falls to the woman, right?
Of course, yes, it does. And the other area, or the other group of people that are most greatly impacted by holiday stress tends to be lower to middle income individuals, just because of the amount of this year.
They can't afford it.
Yes. They can't afford.
They can't afford the holidays, you know. And then that's a great point for us to go off on. And Taylor, I'm going to come to you in a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the other leading stressors, but let's talk about that. One of the reasons that I love Thanksgiving so much is there are no gifts involved, and there are no decorations involved. You know, there might be pretty foliage and turkeys and pumpkins and things like that. There's no stress. You know, a lot of people gather around food. It's the busiest travel time. They gather around food. It's a long weekend. We're eating. We're watching football, and we're, you know, I spent this Thanksgiving in Florida with my ex-in-laws, which was wonderful to see them, and I'll see them again in January because I don't like the cold. So whenever I get a chance to escape to Florida, but it's really, you know what, and I don't know what those folks do. Like we talked about, middle to low income people that can't afford Christmas. And the gap in this country, folks, between the extremely wealthy, the wealthy elite, and the folks who don't have anything is really getting wider.
Yeah, I just pulled up the statistics here. The average American family will spend $700 during the Christmas season. And that's just a shockingly high amount of money.
Yeah. And so some of the things you can do, and Taylor, we're going to come to you, and we may have to come back on the break, but let me tell you about what you can do about those things. Don't make it about the gifts. Don't make it about the gifts. You know, you want to take the stress away from it. We've got 3 minutes to focus on this, guys, now. So if you're out there and you're listening to us, make it about something else. Maybe what you do, guys, here's an idea, is maybe one gift. Maybe it's a family gift. So maybe what you do, instead of giving everybody in the family an individual gift, maybe you give them one gift. It's all about, I made my notes here, setting reasonable expectations. Realizing that you're going in, if you're listening to me, you're going into a very stressful time of the year. You have to sit down and have dinner with Uncle Joe, and Uncle Joe gets on your nerves, you know, and you see him once or twice a year. And how do you handle Uncle Joe? So again, it's about setting reasonable expectations. I think it's also too about being kind to yourself and taking breaks and recognizing, folks, we don't focus on ourselves and on our wellness enough. And so I think really what people need to do is to really focus on taking care of themselves. And so if that means excusing yourself from a heated conversation, if it means taking a walk around the block, then you need to do that. If it means, you know, what's my book and what's my platform? Communicating to Win. We don't communicate very effectively. So, you know, if you're going to be sitting down having dinner or gifts or whatever with people that, let's face it, guys, you know, and you don't have to share your stories, but we all have family members that maybe aren't our favorite, right? Yep. Taylor, what do you do in a situation like that? If your mom and dad are listening, you don't have to share any names. If I know you love your whole family, but what would you do in a situation like that where you had to be? Maybe you got a cousin or gets on your nerves. You know, we need to prepare for those things because you're going to be spending quality or a lot of time with those folks.
I mean, usually when you have a cousin that's annoying you, you can just basically walk out of the room and just kind of just
ignore them, right?
And also you got to think, if you have been like kind of flaming them to get more angry at you, or maybe
so your contribution to it, right? Maybe
yes.
So maybe we've got a minute. We're going to come back to this and we're going to pick up and we're going to talk about some of the other leading stressors. You know, maybe one of the things I had down here, maybe you should skip it. I think, you know, maybe change some of the habits and the routines and some of the things that you do. Maybe you have a buffet instead of a sit-down dinner. Maybe you have it, now it goes back to the economic thing, you have everybody pitch in. Mm-hmm. How about a potluck Christmas dinner where everybody brings something? Maybe the host has the turkey or the ham or whatever it is that you have, and everybody brings some sides. And you make it less about, I would say make it less about gifts. I wouldn't say make it less about food. I like food. And we do a lot around food, don't we? We're very, food is a sociable, food's the most important part.
Food's the most important.
It's not really the gifts. And, you know, not everybody can give the equal amounts. So, you know, not everybody is in that, because not everybody makes the same income and all those things. So, anyway, we're running out of time on this side of the block. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the more stressors. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show on WCBM, 410-922-6680. Give us a call. Tell us what you like, what you don't like about the holidays, because they're right here, folks. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show.
You mentioned the sit-down dinner versus buffet. My family, this is the first year we're not doing a sit-down dinner. My grandfather had a heart attack last year, and so it's like the first year we're like moving away from his house for Christmas because he just can't handle it anymore, the stress of it.
Right.
Him and my grandma. So we're totally changing all that kind of stuff up, and it is kind of helpful. It's a little bit of a stress relief for the rest of my family.
Yeah.
Changing it, doing it buffet.
And I think if you eliminate a lot, I think a lot of people might not, and we can talk about this, people might not admit it. Mm-hmm. You know, but once you do say, hey, we're going to do it differently this year, we're going to take that away, then people are they're going to accept it that way.
Yeah, my grandma was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do a buffet dinner this year.
Really? Somebody was saying, Shane is out there in California saying potluck buffet.
I was not in favor.
Right.
We ended up going back to it because of,
guys, we're back.
Sit down. So.
Hey folks, Bob Paff back here with you. We're talking about holiday stress. Having some great conversation off the air with my two interns here. And Elizabeth was just saying, and Taylor was saying as well, that his grandma was making some changes. Elizabeth, you were talking, was it your grandfather, your uncle? Who were you talking about?
My grandma and my grandpa. We're changing it up this year.
See, I think, here's what I think about this. I think a lot of people, somebody needs to take the lead on this. So if you change some of the routines, if you take some of the stressors out, I think everybody else would actually be relieved. because the stress is, everybody's stressed out about it, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, the cleaning, the expense, all of these things. And so somebody says, listen, here's how we're going to do it this year, makes it less stressful. But Taylor, what were you saying? Your grandmom's going to do what this year?
Well, she was, yeah. I think she's going to change to a buffet style. I'm not completely sure yet. But
how do you feel about that?
how do I feel?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not very happy because that eliminates a lot of the prime food.
Oh, Truth be told.
I guess for her, it's
Right.
better.
Right.
If I see it from her side, I guess it's a lot better because she can kind of plan in advance, not be cooking everything.
And it's about
that
quality
morning.
time with the family. So
Yes.
you said one thing to me that I really like. What Taylor said was, and let me paraphrase it for you, it's not about me. So if we're going to somebody else's house, right, suck it up, folks. I mean, if you don't like the green bean casserole that Aunt Rose makes every whatever, just don't eat it. But we don't have to complain about things. Right? So I think, Taylor, it's a great point. If that makes your grandmother less stressful to do it that way. And then the focus, the other thing for me, it's a spiritual holiday. Right? My daughter says her favorite holiday, my youngest daughter says her favorite holiday is Easter. Easter. And not for the candy. It's for the meaning of what's Easter all about and the solemnity, that comes over the church and Christianity around Easter. And so if we focus on the meaning of the holiday, what it's all about, for some of us, you're seeing your family maybe only once that year. Mm-hmm. Or twice that year, maybe, but people are getting together, and that makes it difficult too because a lot changes during the course of the year, and then suddenly you're thrown together with all these people. I want to wrap, and I want to talk. Not wrapping now, but I want to talk about loneliness because it really bothers me. It is, while suicide is not. This is not the highest time for suicide. If you just tuned in, the spring is the highest time for suicide. It is not right now. But Taylor, what are some of the other stressors that people deal with, and we can give our listeners some tips on how to handle those?
Well, I mean, the survey that I just have here pulled up on my computer, 69% of people are stressed by feeling that they have a lack of time or they didn't prepare enough beforehand. 69% are stressed by perceiving a lack of money, which is exactly what Elizabeth was talking about.
69%, folks, that's almost everybody.
Income, yeah.
So the stress there, Taylor, if I analyze that, so I think, and folks, ask yourselves, so that stress is really, did I get the right gift? Did I get enough gifts, right?
Yeah. And I think, like, the first thing I said, having lack of time, having lack of time can be solved by, like, that's what Black Friday is for. Black Friday is to get ahead of your...
yeah, but that becomes a frenzy. I mean, that's retail propaganda, guys.
It is.
That's all about the retail. You wouldn't get me out. Now, I tell you this, because I'm a sentimental guy. If those of you who know me know that I'm sentimental. You know what I used to do, and they knocked it down. It's no longer there. For those native Baltimoreans, Watson's on York Road. If you guys are, you used to probably remember that. The day after Christmas is when all the ornaments go on sale. I'm an ornament freak. I love ornaments. I love the sentimentality. I travel. I like coffee mugs. I like a T-shirt that says, the name of the city I'm in, and I like to go to churches. Call me weird, but I have these certain routines. And I would wake up. I'd be one of the, I don't think 5 or 6 a.m. But the day after Christmas, I'd be out there buying ornaments because that was kind of my thing to do. But I did it because of the sentimentality. Mm-hmm. One of the things I like to give is gifts. I like to give an ornament. Why do I like to give an ornament? Because when the person looks at the tree and they see that ornament, it's a reminder. So, folks, if we put more thought, one of the things I thought is maybe this year I'll bake some. I've been baking banana bread and pumpkin bread and whatever. Bake something for people. So if you're out there and you're listening, you're watching us on Facebook Live, you're weighing in, I hear you. I'm focusing in on chatting about all this stuff. Is maybe make some things, because for me that has more meaning. Frame a picture of somebody. Last year, I gave my kids a couple of great pictures. So we're running out of time. We're going to come back. We'll wrap this thing up. You're listening to The Bob Paff Show. Give us a call, 410-922-6680. The holidays are not about the money, folks. Relax. We'll be right back with The Bob Paff Show.
If you're looking for a wonderful dining experience, look no further than Siciliana Restaurant. Chef Maria produces the city's most authentic food.
There you go, Taylor.
Her husband Vaso makes sure that you have an outstanding dining experience. Born in Cyprus, but rooted here in Baltimore.
What else, guys? We'll come into the last block. We want to give people good tips. Is any of the people saying, I mean, I think we have. I think we've had. Don't make it about.
Ornaments are definitely also like if you're looking for something daily.
Right?
My parents are huge ornament freaks.
Are they?
Actually, I had a friend over the other day to help us decorate the tree.
Yeah.
And they were saying, they were like, I love the fact that your tree, just every ornament has a story with it. They're not fancy, they're not fabulous, but that every single one of them
Right.
has a story.
Right.
And that's what makes it more
I
unique.
love that. See, that's great. So I think we'll reinforce, we'll give people, we're going to give you ideas of some things that really, thank you, Shane. We just got somebody in California said our show's way too short. Are you listening to my commercials here? If you've got a problem, if you need some help, with your public speaking is the #1 fear, and if you'd like a crash course or a quick lesson on that, reach out to me, and I can, because obviously it's what I do. I've been doing it since I was 16 years old, and I think really in the schools, you guys are terrific, but I don't think schools, generally speaking, spend as much time around. I think every kid should take an acting class.
We take a public speaking class too.
Okay,
Here, and
okay.
as part of our graduation requirement,
Really?
we have to give
You have to get up and give a speech? Does Gilman do that? Boys Latin does a senior speech.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
Well, Gilman does you can give a senior speech if you choose to.
Okay, it's not required.
No, it's not required. I think only.
And so, Elizabeth, it's required at Bryn Mawr for graduation?
Required at Bryn Mawr.
Wow.
Every senior gets a
Okay.
15-minute speech
Wow.
To who?
to the entire school.
Wow.
So that must be every assembly.
That's during convocation period. Yeah. Our yes, it's the same time.
Gilman used to have a public speaking class, and then the top 10% could give a senior speech in that class, or the top 20% in the public speaking class could give a senior speech. But now I think it's just you choose if you want to give one or not. So I try it.
How do your friends feel about public speaking and speaking? I mean, most
like,
people.
I don't mind it. I've never been bothered by it. I used to lecture at mass
Uh-huh.
and everything. But I do have friends who get up to give speeches for public speaking class because that's what I'm enrolled in now, and they're terrified.
Right.
They're totally petrified.
Right. So do you think being involved in the church and speaking that's helped you?
That has definitely helped me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
was something very early on I
Right.
started doing.
Right.
And as it was kind of like the church was like, hey, you're a young kid, and all these people at mass are really excited that a young kid's giving this
Right.
speech. But I did it for many, many years, and I credit a lot of my ability to speak publicly,
that's great.
speak vocally.
And see, I credit mine. I was in the catering business. I was a maitre d', so I was the guy that said, for the first time, everywhere and everywhere, the bride and groom, and would announce and run the party, or whatever. And that was what how I cut my teeth in speaking. It was very cool. Larry, don't leave Dale Carnegie because I do that, so I'm not going to refer business out to other folks, but thank you for that, clearly. Being a reader church is a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing.
What was that?
A message from
A message from the Archdiocese. That was interesting. WCBM's or the Archdiocese is advertising on. Interesting. Here we go. Hey folks, you're back with Bob Paff, and I'm in here with my two high school interns who do a terrific job for me, Elizabeth and Taylor, and we're talking about holiday stress. And I guys, good job. I think we've given our listeners some really practical things. People are talking about, potluck buffets. They're talking about, maybe skipping some of these stressful things. I think it's good to have a family meeting and sit down and talk about what are the stressors. So we talked about, Taylor was sharing that his grandma might do a buffet this year. We talked about, folks, focus in on the meaning. And I'm not just going to say for Christmas, focus in on the meaning of everything. Be present, be aware, be in the moment. We talk about, being centered and being focused and being aware, and the word I'm looking for is mindfulness. And so if you would apply that same mindfulness to the holidays, stop and think what it's about. Because if you're overgiving and overspending, Elizabeth, we kind of talked about this, you're encouraging other people. Not everybody can keep up.
No.
So if you're spending a ton of dough on everybody and the other person, they can't reciprocate. Maybe it's a single mom or a single dad, or quite frankly, guys, maybe it's somebody who just doesn't agree with the whole notion of bombarding people with gifts.
Exactly.
And Elizabeth, we talked about, you know, I love ornaments, and it was great, and I want you to share that story. Folks, give somebody an ornament, because I tell you what, and I think back at some of the things, you know what I love? I have 6 kids. I love every year when I put the handmade ornaments.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was telling my daughter the other day, I said, Isabel, I've got to get this preserved, right? And I know you're out there, people are weighing in, Ed Hale Jr. is weighing in, he's got 3 kids, and I know people who are out there, it's those special things. Elizabeth, share with our listeners what you were just talking about with the ornaments, and your friend came over and you were decorating the tree and what that meant.
Yeah, my parents collect a lot of ornaments from every place we've been, from their childhood, from our childhood. And so we were putting up the ornaments on the tree, and my friend was over, and they actually commented, they were like, hey, I love that every ornament has a story.
Means something. You pull it out of the box, and that's when you were 4 years old, Elizabeth, or whatever. It's those stories.
They might not be the most beautiful ornaments.
That's right.
But
or
they
the most
have
expensive,
meaning.
and they have meaning. And you can't put a price tag on that, guys. Listen, folks, we've got 2 minutes before we wrap this up and before we join you next week. And I've got a lot that I want to say. Always, always, always grateful for our sponsors. Get out there. If you have not planned your holiday party, call the folks at Cipriana. Maria, I hope you're listening. I know you got a big party tonight. Stop by THB. Tony just chimed in on us. And you know, if you're doing a breakfast or a luncheon, having something catered there, and you need bagels for a meeting, please, I encourage you. I really want you to support certainly my sponsors, but these are people giving back to Baltimore. These are people providing jobs for people, a standard of living, a way of life. But beyond that, I want you to support small business in general. We had the Secretary of Commerce in here, and the backbone of this country is really all about small business. That ties into the holiday stress. I met somebody today, and I hope she's listening, who owns a store, and I wish I could remember it. I'm feeling terrible. It's in Hamden. We've got a minute, folks. I'm going to go out hard here. But, you know, small business owners are sacrificing it every day. They need you to come in, and that little purchase to a small business owner might not, it has way more meaning than the big box stores, so to speak, right? So to go in and buy that ornament or whatever. So anyway, listen, shows coming up. Next week, we've got Rob Kowalski. Rob's going to come in and talk to us about why you need to wait and abstinence and all of that. And so I'm going to let him get into that. I'm going to read his book. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show. Thank you so much for all your support. Continue to share. Continue to reach out to us. We're so grateful. Have a wonderful weekend. And we will talk to you next week. You're listening to the Bob Paff Show on WCBM, folks. Have a great weekend, a good week. Bye-bye. Folks, I'm tuning out. Thank you so much. Those of you who love the necklace, matching earrings or whatever, love you guys. Share this story. We need your help. We need your support. We need you talking it up. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.